Hi Scholar, welcome to Post Scholars channel. So are you preparing for WAEC exam, NECO exam, JAMB exam or any other high school exam? Then this video is for you. The title of this video is how to find unknown angles in a rhombus and square. We have just one example we are going to solve together and it says ABCD is a rhombus. ABCD a rhombus and APCQ is a square. APCQ is a square. True. If angle PAB is equal to 21 degree, that's angle PAB equals 21 degree. Take note, the letter in the center is always the focus, right? Calculate the four angles of ABCD. So you are looking for this angle, right? This angle, the whole of this angle, and this angle. Now, how do we go about this question? Now, let's solve. This is the diagram already. Now, to solve this question, you need to understand the basic information or properties of rhombus and square. Now, let me draw a rhombus. A typical rhombus looks like this, right? While a typical square looks like this. The major similarity between a rhombus and a square is that all sides are equal. All sides are equal. Why the difference is just that you can see rhombus, the length here is slanty, while the length here is also what? Slanty. But for square, all its sides are what? Perpendicular, right? It forms 90 degree. So let's come back to the diagram. The middle diagram is a square, and one property you should know about a square is that each of the angle in a square is 90 degree. So let's represent that. That means this part here is 90 degree. Take note, 90 degree is always represented with a small square. So 90 degree, 90 degree, 90 degree, and 90 degree, right? Now we already know this part of the angle, right? 21 degree. We know this part also as what? Degree. Now looking at this shape critically, you agree with me that this angle here, which is angle DAQ, is also equals to 21 degree. Why? Because AD is equals to AB and is equals to what? BC, which is also equals to CD, right? Let's effect that. This side is equals to this side, equals to this side, and equals to this side. That's for the rhombus, right? So automatically, angle DAQ is equals to 21 degree. So I can write it DAQ, angle DAQ equals 21 degree, right? That's this part of the angle represented as 21 degree, right? Now, automatically, remember, we are asked to find what? The four angles of ABCD, right? So now we can find DAB, right? So DAB consists of the whole of the angle here, right? So what's DAB? Angle DAB is equal to the sum of 21 degree plus 90 degree plus 21 degree. You can see it here. This part is 21 degree, this part is 90 degree, and this part is also what? 21 degree, right? So when you sum it up, you have that DAB equals 132 degree. Very good. So we have gotten the first part of the angle. Now angle DCB, which is the whole of the angle here, we don't need to solve anything because we know that one property of a rhombus is that the opposite angles are equal. So if DAB is equals to 130, right? Similarly, DCB will also be what? 132 degree. So I'll just write it. Angle DCB is also equals to what? 132 degrees. Sorry. And what's the reason? Opposite angle in a rhombus are equal, right? So now we have gotten two angles. We have gotten DAB, the whole of this. We have gotten DCB, the whole of this, right? Now next we need to find angle ADC, right? So how do we find angle ADC? To find angle ADC, we should know that ADC and ABC are equal. What's the reason? Opposite angle of a what? Rhombus. So let's effect it by writing in that ADC is equal to ABC. That's both angle. And what's the reason? The reason is that opposite angle in a rhombus, right? So if ADC and ABC are equal, it simply means I can just choose one, right? I can choose any of them because at the end of the day they are the same, right? Now we'll come back to the diagram. We already know the value of this angle. We know the value of this angle. We are left with the value of this angle, right, and this angle, right? So another property of a rhombus or quadrilateral generally is that the sum of all its angles equals 360 degrees, right? So what we need to do is to sum up each of these angles and equate it to 360. So let's do that. That means, remember, we already know this angle, which is what? 132. So we say 132 degree, 132 plus the other angle, the opposite angle is also 132 degree plus this angle now, which is angle ADC, then plus this angle again. Remember, this angle is actually ABC, but we can still represent it as ADC because they are the same. So ADC plus angle ADC equals 360 degree, right? So 132 plus 132 gives 264 degree, plus ADC plus ADC, that's angle ADC plus angle ADC, gives 2 ADC, that means 2 of the angles, right, equals 360 degree. Now what you need to do next is to subtract 264 from both sides. When you subtract 264 from both sides, you'll be left with 2 ADC in the left hand side and 360 minus 264, right? So when you do this subtraction, you have 2 ADC equals 360 minus 264 gives 96 degree. Next, you divide both sides by 2, right? When you divide both sides by 2, you have that 2 cancels 2, right? So finally, ADC, angle ADC equals 96 divided by 2, which gives 48 degree. Now we have gotten angle ADC, right, as 48 degree. Now let's go back to this equation, right? We already said that ADC is equals to angle ABC. So if ADC is 48 degree, therefore ABC is also what? 48 degree. So we can effect it also. Therefore angle ABC is equals to 48 degree. So let's go back to the question. The question says calculate the 4 angles of ABCD, right? The first angle we got is 132 degree, which is BDCB, right? This is the first angle. DCB equals 132 degree. Then we also got DAB as what? 132 degree, right? So these are the 4 angles. So you can now say, therefore, the 4 angles are, what's the first one? 132, and the second one is also 132. So 132 degree, comma, 132 degree, 48 degree, and lastly 48 degree. You see that when you sum up these angles, you get 360 degree. I hope it is well understood. Now we have come to the end of this video. Do well to share to your friend and also subscribe so that you can see more of the video. God bless you and bye.